Right, let's bring in our guests. We have Professor Andrew Haruna. He's the Secretary General, Committee of Vice Chancellors of Nigerian Universities and Pro-Chancellor Bingham University. Thank you so much for joining us, Prof.
Good evening. Thank you very much for inviting me.
So, Prof, I'm sure even your school, talking about Bingham University, is a beneficiary of this loan fund we're talking about. We're seeing the changes based on reports, and we're seeing the numbers in the beneficiaries, the disbursement, increasing. But let me get your perspective going by the whole scheme.
Well, thank you very much. First of all, let me congratulate NTA for bringing a very good and balanced report. Secondly, let me congratulate the Chief Executive of NELFund, my good friend, Sawyer. And he used two words which I would like our listeners and viewers to take note of. He said, no discrimination and nobody's circumstances, if they qualify, will be left behind. These are critical points that I want us to take note of. Then thirdly, let me congratulate the government for coming with a robust, one of the most efficient, one of the most friendly program that will revolutionize or has started revolutionizing the life of the Nigerian youth in terms of education. Anyone who has benefited from support, definitely he will be stable. He will also look at the system that it carries him along. But critically, there is one important thing I would like to say. For the first time, I lived all my life in the education sector, and government is signing a contract with her youth, who are the leaders of tomorrow. You know, within the university, we have two major capital resources, human capital resources, those in the faculty and then our students. And this time around, the students are given the opportunity to have a peace of mind, to have to be rest assured that education is what the government is interested in, and the government is pursuing that. So in this respect, as the Secretary General of the Committee of Vice Chancellors of Nigerian Universities, there are public universities, public in the sense that those who are funded by taxpayers' money, which is state universities and federal government universities. There are private universities, about 158 of them. Now, for those that are being funded by the taxpayers' money, these are public universities, state and federal, the story is the same across board. Yeah. I've not come across any student who says, oh, why did the government come up with this kind of program? Rather, they celebrate it. It has improved their performances. I cannot give you data, but if you talk to the vice chancellors, they can tell you for the first time there is stability in terms of their educational program within the university. Secondly, if you talk to the management, it is a seamless program. Money is sent to the university. The share of the university goes to the university seamlessly. The share for the students goes direct into their account. And therefore, there is no any bottlenecks. And this we must also congratulate TED Fund for coming with such a seamless program. Although you may encounter some hitches, nonetheless, both parents and students, I'm very sure from the reports reaching my desk and also the interaction I have had with students, this is a wonderful program.
You know, you mentioned hitches, so I like to pick up with that. The verification delays and, of course, data integrity were some of the concerns we saw in the previous year. But going by what NELFund is dishing out to us, like some of these bottlenecks are being addressed. But you're the Secretary General for, chancellors, pro-chancellors of universities across the country. How are institutions keen into this project? I know they're doing well, but in the aspect of providing the necessary support to ensure that the scheme is seamless.
Well, one of the things that we do, particularly in my office, is publicity, awareness. On a daily basis, when I receive the reports on the dashboard of NELFund, I send it to the platform of all the universities for both state, federal, and private. Secondly, what we have seen happen there is that the vice chancellors are serious about it. Initially, there were hitches, because money was sent to them. They were not sure whether everything they were included in it in terms of administrative charges, bank charges, and things like that. But over time, all these glitches has, fizzled out, because I believe NEL Fund has understood that when we send some fixed amount of money to the university, there will be bank charges, there will be administrative charges. I know at some point I also raised my voice on the way the vice chancellors were invited to Abuja to come and explain how they spent the money. And you see, they have limited resources. No vice chancellor has enough resources, particularly overhead. And they use the little they have to come to Abuja. But I have followed the reports, particularly from the speeches and the remarks of the MD NEL Fund, that these things are areas before were not taken into account. But over time, there are areas that have been accommodated into the budget system. You know, anything that has not been budgeted for is difficult midterm or midstream to say that you can change the rules of the game. But until now, I think things have been very seamless. The vice chancellors are happy, the students are happy, parents are happy. Those of us in the secretariat of the Committee of Vice Chancellors of Nigerian Universities, particularly myself, I'm very happy, and I congratulate the manager of this program.
Okay, and to sustain this happiness, Professor Haruna, sustaining funding is critical. Federal government on its part has demonstrated commitment. We're seeing release of funds. We're seeing disbursement. But some stakeholders are of the opinion that states should come up with their own, loan funding to support and ease the burden from the federal government. Do you share some perspective?
Of course, I share I share. Many of our states, if they look inwards, they have a lot of resources with which they can support their citizens.
Yeah.
This idea of coming to Abuja to collect something and go back home and share it out, I think is a mentality which many state governments, I would recommend that they should put it aside. They should look inward and look at the resources they have. You know, the federal government does not have limitless resources. You see, this is the first time the government came with a wise approach to managing the resources that come to the center. Particularly, I have read money that was seized illegally from people who accumulated money illegally. Instead of throwing it around, it was channeled to educate our youth. Taxes that were collected or resources that we need or we have as a country were now being disbursed to the Nigerian youth, whereby they can have quality education. I'm a beneficiary of bursary by the state government and federal government during my days. If I had not received support by government, I'm not quite sure I will be where I am today. You know, I always don't like to sound this way. I always said I started my life as a shoe-shine boy. But because I got the support of government to be trained with bursary support, today I'm a professor, a former vice chancellor, and a manager of universities. So with this kind of thing, I am very passionate, and I really thank God that the government saw it this way. There are areas which in my office we may disagree with government, but not on the area of NEL Fund. NEL Fund is a fantastic program that must be supported, but state government, for heaven's sake, they should look inwards, because many of the students, they can relieve the burden on the government, on the central government, by looking inwards and also creating their own type of NEL Fund.
And it will be a game changer even across states, the education sector.
Of course.
All right, Prof, we have to take a break. We'll pick up with the conversation. You stay tuned. All right, Prof, we've seen, different perspective. And you know that the scheme recently, part of the whole initiative of the scheme is to also include vocational and technical institutions, which we have seen played out. But how are institutions, engaging students now to bridge knowledge gaps? So if you're not getting it from the right, you get it from the left. You get what I mean?
Well, in almost all the universities, they have changed their curriculum for the simple reason that they have incorporated skill training and given the students the ability not only to go and seek for jobs, but also to be employers of labor. And with the stability which the students now have through this loan, it has made the students to rededicate themselves, and it has also made the students to see that this social contract which they have signed with their government to look into the future to make them more honest, more responsible, and not only that, to see that at the end of the day, the fact that I have to pay this loan, it's not a gift, it's not a bonus. By repaying
it's not a grant.
Good. And by repaying this loan, it means that those who are coming after me as a student will benefit from the money. So from this direction, you see the entrepreneurial skills that have been incorporated in our university programs and the dedication and the re-evaluation of the entire teaching programs within the university by our wonderful Vice Chancellors is yielding results.
Okay, and you mentioned the payment model, which, of course, you know, Prof, there's been concerns in that aspect. There are fears, or rather concerns, that it may not be effective if it's not strengthened, talking about the payment system of this loan, because it's a non-interest, free interest loan. In the aspect of strengthening this payment system, what would be your recommendation, going by what you have just shared with us?
Yes. Well, let me just say one thing. You see, most of us Nigerians are suspicious with any program that deals with money, especially coming from government. But this one is seamless. You see, the money goes direct to the accounts of the university. That is the share that goes to the university. The share that goes to the students, it goes directly to the students' account. Therefore, with the modern technology, you cannot escape, because a lot of information about you, the recipient of this loan, has been captured.
Yeah.
Therefore, there is no need to start thinking that we should worry. This is one of the most honest, most direct, most efficient, most robust program that I have seen the government has instituted in place. However, the normal general suspicion, you know, we have become suspicious. We collect money, we put money, and then we hear one man alone has taken away billions. But this one, I tell you, it is reaching the beneficiaries directly. And it is teaching the students nationalism, it is teaching them patriotism, it is teaching them honesty with their government. And it is telling the government that we support you, as you have heard the reports. And I want to say one thing here. Government should come up with robust programs that will give Nigerians hope, particularly in the area that will revolutionize our thinking so that we can trust our government. NEL Fund is one area where I can see I have not met anyone who does not trust the government in this respect. And these are not the elderly, but the youth. And education is critical to any development, because education is power, education is permanent happiness, education gives you the ability to manage yourself and to be of impact to society. And therefore, if you feel education is not important, try an ignorant person to give you leadership.
Okay, Prof. And I see one strategy NEL Fund is, looking at the centralized job portal, which is expected to be launched this year, going by reports. It's a practical way of connecting this, recipients, beneficiaries of the loan, to employers directly. What do you make of that? Do you think that's another way to go in the aspect of strengthening, the loan repayment system?
Well, there is a data. If you look at the NEL Fund dashboard, every day you have the up-to-date data. So this is one way of strengthening, which means that you have people can assess you, people can evaluate you, and when people talk, they are not talking on imagination. They are talking of figures. As of today, we know the exact figure of those who have applied, and we know the exact figure of those who have received the loan. We know the exact figure of the institutions that have received their own benefits, which has been sent to them by NEL Fund. So one way of strengthening and building hope and trust is this portal, and the portal has captured all the necessary information that an individual can provide before he can access the loan. Particularly, you have to be a citizen of Nigeria as defined by the Constitution. You must provide NIN number, national identity number. You must provide your JAMB admission letter. You must also provide your bank verification number. You must provide your age, date of birth, sex, and address, email. You see, when all these things have been captured, my sister, who can say that this is a fake or a 419 program?
You know what?
This is a genuine program, and it has built confidence in us.
Yes, and there's no going back to saying you're not going to pay if you're a beneficiary, Prof, especially when you're being linked to employers directly. Talking about the job portal. But that aside, Prof, based on reports, there are allegations that some private institutions are increasing their tuition fee because of the loan fund, which, of course, it's coming directly from government. You are Secretary General, Vice, Chancellors across Nigerian universities. So I'm sure you have collective information you want to share with us to refute this or to say it's true.
Well, I can tell you no Vice Chancellor, to the best of my knowledge, who has increased any charges just because government has given the students loan. We have responsible Vice Chancellors. You see, to become a Vice Chancellor is not something you just wake up overnight and become a VC. You go through rigorous exercise. And at the same time, you go through training to even become a professor. It takes you almost 20 years of learning and publications, and then doing community service. Now you become the head of an institution. You know, the minimum person we deal with is somebody who has a West African school certificate. And in terms of our teaching staff, the minimum is a first degree. And we are an international community. All our staff are highly mobile because they are international by nature. So there is no Vice Chancellor, to the best of my knowledge, and I can vouch 100%, who will dream of even increasing fees. But, you know, as I said, we are very suspicious. We sometimes feel that when something has come, it's Father Christmas. This loan is not Father Christmas. The students have testified it. They have to pay it for their brothers in the future to also get the loan. It's something that recycles. The Vice Chancellors are happy. It has brought stability in their programs, in the students' welfare, in the students' own academic career. I can tell you, even the Mami markets around the campuses, because the students have money to go and eat rice and beans and with a piece of meat, it has brought a lot of businesses. So everyone has united to do this, but not in the sense of business increasing prices just because students are receiving loan. No.
Okay, it's good you've cleared that, Prof. And I would like to ask a double-edged question to wrap up this. First is eligibility of the beneficiaries. We're seeing, when we hear reports of people who are not in that, who don't fall under that criteria, so to say, to be eligible for that loan, having access to it. That's one. And then on the other side, what happens? We're not praying, for a situation like this. But what happens when a student completes, its tertiary, his or her tertiary education, and they have, carryovers or, have failed, so to say, and will have to come back? Do they apply for a loan again? I don't know if that question is to you or to Mr. Sawyer, but I'm sure you have a word for that.
Well, from my interaction and from the remarks of Mr. Sawyer, they have a machinery in place to handle this. And particularly students who did not receive their own loans or their own money before, the end of a session. So that one, I will leave it to him to answer. I'm sure, just as they have other mechanisms within the system to address glitches, so this one will not be a problem at all. Secondly, even if a student leaves, his employer, you pay about only 10% of what you have collected.
Yeah.
So therefore, there is no need to start even thinking of defaulting. Therefore, this program, to the best of my knowledge, is what is being sustained and transparent and very clear, and it is appreciated by both sides of the divide.
Prof, if I'll come in there, I'm talking about eligibility.
Eligibility.
Yes.
You mean those who are qualified to get the loan?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, well, I have enumerated some of the eligibility criteria. You must be a citizen of Nigeria. You must be you must have a JAMB admission verified. you must have a bank verification number, you must also have your own passport, photograph, you must have your NIN, national identity number. All these are packed together, and at the end of the day, until when these are checked, and then the universities also give their checklist
to be sure,
Prof, that you qualify.
That you cannot afford to pay the school fees because this loan is targeted to certain persons.
Well, this requires some level of honesty to those who are applying for the loan.
Okay.
Because it is not, the NEL Fund has made it abundantly clear, this is not a Father Christmas gift. And also the students, we have responsible students in Nigeria. When government is responsible to her citizens, the citizens will be responsible. And this is one social contract. I am telling you from the bottom of my heart, the students are responsible and they are pursuing it. So also the vice chancellors and those of us in the committee of vice chancellors of Nigerian universities. If anybody is to go against it, I will be the first person to raise my voice. But until now, the fact that I am silent, you know that things are moving well. Other areas which government, we are not happy with government, we have been speaking about them, but not NEL Fund.
All right, Prof. I see you're passionate about this.
Of course I am, because it's a wonderful program.
Okay, we want to thank you, Prof. He is the Secretary General Committee of Vice Chancellors of Nigerian Universities and also Pro-Chancellor of Bayham University here in Abuja. Thank you, Prof, for sharing your thoughts. We do appreciate and we'll continue to monitor developments. It's a laudable scheme, so we'll play our part to ensure that the right thing is done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you, my dear students and vice chancellors. God bless.
All right.
Good night, Nigerians.
All right, let's take a break.